Hey guys, it's Lydia here, and today I'm going to be reviewing the Sculpfun Laser from Sculpfun. So let's get started. Alright guys, so this laser is actually very similar to the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro. It's a super cool laser. It has great qualities to it. I don't want to talk about it so much right now. I will talk more about it at the end of the video after we get it built and set up and for me to show you guys how to actually use it. So let's get right into the video, and I hope you enjoy. So it's pretty simple to build. If you ever built one of these before, you know it's just basically creating the base here and then adding the X rail on. But the instructions are super easy. Everything is labeled. The screws are labeled for each step, so that's super nice. And it's, again, just repetitive, adding all the corners and attaching the bars together. And then all you have to do is add the belts for the Y and X, or the Y axis. Here it's super easy. Just tighten these bolts down. Everything's in the instructions, and it's super easy to follow. And then we just add the laser on and the wires. Alright, and just like that, we have this really cool laser cutting machine. Now, comparing this to the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro, I can definitely see that this is a little bit bigger. This is a 500mm by 450mm cutting capability, and I think that's super cool. It's a bigger size. It's around the same price as the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro. We'll talk about that a little bit later. So all you have to do is take your USB cord. One does come with the machine, and plug it in over here at the top. And then also your power cord goes in the same spot. And it's really nice. I think it's a nice compact machine. And looking at the feet that are on this actual machine, the height distance is pretty tall compared to normal or other lasers. I can see that it's about 3 inches tall, and you can adjust your laser head. It is adjustable because it's a fixed focused laser, so you can even engrave things that are thicker than that. So it's gonna be really nice for me when I want to engrave super thick cutting boards. So let's get this thing connected to the computer and we can test it out. So I have LightBurn open. This is a engraving and cutting software that I use. If you have seen some of my other reviews, you know that I use it. It says there's an update available, but I'm not going to update that right now. What we're going to have to do is actually turn on our machine. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go down to Devices. We're going to click Create Manually. We're going to click GRBL. Press Next. It is connected to the USB. Next. And I'm going to name this Sculpfun Laser. And again, the size is 450mm. So after actually looking at the machine, even though it says it is 500 by 450, the actual dimension of your cutting area will be about 410 by 450. But we can always adjust that later if it needs to be changed. So in here it says where's your origin gonna start, so we're gonna do front left. And I don't believe, by looking at this machine, it has an auto home focus setting or it has any end stop. So I'm gonna turn auto home your laser at startup. We're gonna press next and click finish. We're gonna click on our setting that we just created, or our device, and press OK. And now it should have connected to the machine. So before I do anything, I'm going to move you guys back down here, and I'm going to put a piece of wood underneath this laser so we don't burn the table. So once we have that underneath there, I'm going to again connect to the laser, and I believe it has connected. So what we can do is use the fire setting on LightBurn. There's this setting right here. This is the fire setting, so when you click it, it'll turn the laser on and you'll know that your laser's connected. On setting up the actual laser to engrave, I'm going to take these little pieces of wood that comes with the laser, and I'm going to place it underneath here. And then the laser also comes with this little cylinder here, and this is what you use to focus your actual laser. So we put this underneath here, and then we lower the laser using the back screws on the back and I'll show you guys that in a second. You lower it until the blue part touches the top of the cylinder, not the green part, but the blue part of the box touches the bottom here. And these are the screws that I'm talking about. So you loosen those and lower your laser and then tighten them back up. So I'm going to lower those 2 screws just until it slides down. And touches it, and then tighten them back up. And there we go. So there is a tiny gap between our laser head and this piece of wood, and that is because of this little green cover down here, and this is to protect your eyes, which is really nice because it sort of eliminates you having to wear the protective eyeglasses that come with this machine, but I do think you should wear these no matter what, just in case something happens. So I'm just going to set this up here so it's ready, and again I can use the fire function to line it up and get ready for a simple engraving. So as you can see here, I pulled in my logo, and I'm just going to right click it and go down to image trace, or trace image. And then I'm going to press continue, delete the image, and now I have an engraving or cutting. So if you go to your cuts and layers, you will see if it is line or fill. And I actually have different colors set to different things, so I'm going to turn mine to blue. And that is my fill setting. So right now I have it at 1 pass, and then I have it at 1,500 millimeters per minute. I'm actually going to change that to about 2,000, and then I have 100 power. So I'm going to make this a little smaller, and I think it's about 1 inch. Let's do 1.5 inches. And then I'm going to press start. So before I press start, I'm going to show you guys what it will look like on the laser. So I'm going to press start, and the engrave should start. Super simple. It's really like a lot of other lasers, but one thing I really like about this is the size and how heavy duty the material is. Like, the metal is super nice, and it's there's minimal wires. I also really enjoy the safety cover down there. That's really nice. The only thing is, if you have something, say some feet on a cutting board, and you're trying to engrave it, but you're trying to start in the corner of the board, you can't bypass it if there are little feet on it. I know it sounds a little confusing, but some of you who engrave your cutting boards, you might understand what I'm talking about, because it is so close to the piece of material. I'm not sure if you can take that thing off or not, but I'm going to keep it on there. This doesn't have any ventilation. Of course, it is an open machine, but I do have a fan right here. It's not on for video purposes, but I have other fans and an exhaust in our shop area, so the fan's open and everything is good. So just keep in mind that you should have good ventilation with using a laser. It will set off smoke detectors even though there's not fire, but just be careful. So the engrave is almost finished, and we'll find out if the settings that I used is good enough. And I do use 100% power. That is mostly because I'm just used to it, and it's easier to change the speed than the power for engravings and cuttings that I do. But once this engraving is done, we will check and see if what we've done is good enough for a good quality engrave. Okay, so it is finished, and we can check this engraving out here. And as you can see, it's actually really nice. I think it's pretty decent. Again, this is at 100 power and 2,000 millimeters per minute, so that's actually really decent engraving. For specific woods, you're just gonna have to test that out on your specific woods, because not everybody's wood is the same. So once you get a piece of wood, I would definitely do a test engrave on it before you do the final engraving on it. So this engraving looks really nice. So now I'm going to try out the cutting quality. So let's go right into that. So I'm going to do the same thing, just line it up with the dot on there, and then I'm going to just do a square cut because that's just the easiest thing to test. And like you saw before, I changed from an engraving to, or from a cut to an engraving, so I'm going to change my color back to black. And I'm going to show you here really quick that you can change your settings. I know it's a little far away from on the camera, but you can change your settings over here from passes. I'm going to do about 3 passes, 100 power, and I'm going to try 500 millimeters per minute. But again, you just have to try different passes and different speeds. So this actual laser is supposed to have a small focal point, which I have mentioned in other videos of other laser reviews. So the smaller focal point there is, the better quality cut and faster cut you can get. And so I believe this is a 0.05 focal point. They're usually 0.1. So again, the smaller it is, the better. And as you can see, it kind of almost barely cut through there. And that's actually super nice. I've never had a laser that cuts this well at 500 millimeters per minute with only 3 passes. I usually get 6 or 7 passes at that speed. So we're going to try that again with 4 passes. Again, just going to line it up and press start. So the only thing I changed was I added 1 more pass. Still the same speed, still the same power. And again, you just have to do a lot of testing with a new laser that you get for your wood. So this wood is about 3 millimeters thick. I actually have some 1.5 millimeter thick wood here that we can test as well, and also some about 4 millimeter thick wood. It's not as dense as this. It is a lot like lighter wood, but check out this cut. It went right through. So 4 passes at 500 millimeters per minute with 100 power worked great. So as you also can see here, there is a box, and that is why you use a scrap piece of wood underneath. You never want to cut, or I say never even engrave anything without an extra piece of material underneath, just to save your workspace. So we're going to actually try out this 0.5 millimeter. And one thing I do mention in all my reviews, if it is a fixed focused machine, is to always recheck your distance. Here, it's just a little bit too high, so I'm going to go back here and loosen these again, and then tighten them up once it hits the bottom. And now we have the piece ready to go. So I'm just going to move it over a little bit, line it up. And I'm going to do for this one, we can do 500 millimeters per minute with 2 passes and see how well that goes. Because it is a thinner material, it should cut a little bit better. However, with that speed, it might affect the cut. One thing I do also look for is sometimes if you're cutting, you'll know that it cuts through when smoke comes out from underneath. Not fire smoke, but just it's burning the bottom piece here. So looking at this, it did perfectly cut this out really nicely. So again, this was 2 passes at 500 millimeters per minute. And this is really thin, super thin. So this is the 1.5 millimeter material, and this is the 3. So you can see the difference there. And then I want to try and cut this thicker material. Again, it is a lot lighter wood, but we can test this out as well. And then just going to change the distance and then scoot it under there. And for this one, let's do 4 passes just to see how well that goes. Even though it is thicker material, and this is the same setting that we did for the 3 millimeter material, because it is lighter, I do believe that it will cut through. And I don't know if you guys probably can't see, but there is some smoke coming out underneath here, and that tells me that it's cut through already. and you can even watch your cut and see that your piece falls down. So you can see right here, it cut right through. And I actually think it will cut through with 3 passes because it was already smoking at that 3-pass mark. So we're just going to try it again. So let's see how that turned out. Pretty much pops right out. Got a little stuck, but there you go. I'm actually going to try one more setting with just 2 passes. In reality, that probably won't work, but I just want to see how well it cuts, even if it just shows through the back. And I honestly could probably change all these settings to 300 millimeters per minute and do it in less passes, but I like to stay at the faster rate to just get the cut over with. So there is slight lines on here, but we know that the 3 passes will work just great. So that is it for the cutting. I'm just going to show you guys a couple more engraving pieces. I'm going to try to do a faster engraving just to see how quickly this machine can actually move without losing its quality of engraving. One thing I also wanted to mention was you can frame where your cut or engraving is going to be, and the way to do that on LightBurn is to hold shift down on your keyboard and press frame, and that will frame the area. So you saw that that whole area is going to be engraved, so I'm actually going to do one of my other logos, my L with this kind of circle around it, and I'm going to do it at 4,000 millimeters per minute. That's actually pretty fast, again at 100% power, and see how well the machine does, and if it jiggles or anything. The machine does have some rubber feet on it, they sticky rubber feet, so I'm going to see if that helps it at all, but I'm going to press print and hopefully it works. So I wanted to stop the engraving because I can already see that this quality of engraving is still really, really nice, as you can see. And it didn't seem to me that the machine was moving very fast. But I did see that one piece here, you can kind of see that is a little movie. It might have been the file, but I'm going to flip it over, do a smaller version, and do it at maybe 8,000 millimeters per minute, just to, again, test out the quickness of this machine. So I actually checked the settings in LightBurn, and the highest speed I can go to is 6,000 millimeters per minute. So that's what I'm doing now. Okay, so it has finished, and even at 6,000 millimeters per minute with only 1 pass, the darkness of this engraving is actually really, really decent. And by the looks of it, you can still kind of see that jaggedy, what I was talking about earlier, and I do believe that's probably the image. I could try this with my other logo, the first one I did, but I do believe that 6,000 millimeters per minute is actually really, really quick, and the quality that you get here is really nice. So even though I already tested some cuts, I'm going to actually try one more cut, and that is going to be 2 of these stacked together, which is about 6 millimeters. So I'm going to see how well that cuts and how many passes we'll actually need. When looking at other people's information on Banggood, where you can purchase this machine, it was said that you can cut up to 10 millimeters of lightwood. Some people said 6, so I'm just going to try this out and see how well that goes. So I'm just going to do a square again. Right now we're going to set it to, let's say, 8 passes at 400 millimeters per minute. So 8 passes later, we got 1 cut and 2. So this thing can cut up to 6 millimeters thick. I have not found that in any other laser so far. That's actually really, really great. That was only 8 passes at 400 millimeters per minute, so that's not a whole lot. So I just wanted to show you guys here to talk about a little bit of the facts behind this laser. So this laser is a 40-watt laser, which means it's actually about 5.5 watts of power that goes through the laser. It is a 12 volt. It's not a 24 volt. It is, again, called the model. The model of it is the S6 Pro, which I believe just means it's upgraded the laser head here. And it does show the wavelengths is 450 nm. And then again, it is a fixed focus machine, which is really, really nice. It does say right here that it is 5.5 watts. And then it also says some other information on here that I don't honestly know what that means. But this is a 5.5 watt laser, very, very similar to the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro. But this just, the cutting quality you saw is really, really great if you have the correct settings. So sometimes not everybody can get a great cut quality or engrave quality, and that's usually because they haven't tested the settings yet. You can't just test one setting and say, oh, this laser doesn't do what I want, because you have to test multiple to get it to actually work. So one thing I actually wanted to check out on this machine is, as you can kind of see, there's no end stops, and that's kind of questionable on a laser. So I'm actually going to test, like, I can see that there are no end stops on here, and I don't even know if you can add them. So I'm going to go to my laser settings in LightBurn, and I'm going to go and press home. I have to make sure the machine's on first. I'm going to press home, and it's probably going to try and move it. So when I go to press home on the LightBurn settings, it says home cycling is not enabled in GRBL settings. So that means in this actual machine right here, it does not allow you to home it, which is kind of a downside for this laser. It would really be great if it could home. Now, I'm sure there's some way to add a homing system, just like if you're doing repetitive cuts or something and your laser shuts down and it moves, you have to like move it. I don't know. I think that if we had a homing system on here, it would make the laser a lot better. But overall, this laser is great. The quality is fantastic. The structure of this whole machine is great. It's super sturdy, and just overall, again, a nice built laser. I would definitely recommend this. But again, the homing system is really, really needed here. Alright guys, so that is it for the review of this really cool laser. Again, I really do like it. It's a great laser. The quality, cuts and engravings, the speed, overall, the whole machine is just a great laser. I would definitely recommend this again. It is very, very comparable to the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro, which is my favorite laser. I use that thing probably every day, customizing my products for my business and just doing a lot of orders. So this machine I will use a lot. It is great. It has a great safety feature. I like the little green lens on the bottom. But again, if it had a homing setting in it, I would like it a lot better, which it's really, really unfortunate that it doesn't have that. I don't know why you would make a laser without that, but the laser, again, is great. The quality is great. That's all that matters. And it's just an amazing laser. So there will be a link down below in the description for you guys to go get it. You can get it off of Banggood, AliExpress. I think you can also get it off of their actual website. I believe it's called Sculpfun3D.com. That will all be down below in the description. And if there's any deals, they will be updated down below. So just go click on the links, check out, and just see if there's any discounts or anything. So I always let you guys know. Whenever I get a discount, I always put it down in the description. So if you guys have any questions, please let me know. If you want to know any other specs on this machine, how it works, if you want me to test other things. I know a lot of people like leather, and I know it's possible to engrave leather on most things. I do believe it is possible to cut it on here. Again, it all just depends on your settings. So usually you can cut and engrave most things. You can definitely cut and engrave acrylic on here. I didn't show it in the video, but it basically does the same thing as the Ortur Laser Master 2 Pro video that I showed you guys how to cut acrylic. Now, if you want to know how to engrave glass, it's kind of possible, but it's kind of not. I wasn't going to test it because it's really not that easy. Now you can engrave metal if you put it something over it. I think it's called aluminizing it or something, but it's not as easy as engraving wood or plastic or other things like that. So just to answer all those questions that will be down below in the comments about cutting leather and engraving metal and stuff, you can do it all. You just have to do extra steps, which there are better lasers for that, like CO2 lasers that do that. But this laser is great to have in the shop, in the office, to customize things super easily, little wood things, and you can definitely start a business with something like this. So definitely invest in it if you're interested in one. Again, everything will be down below in the description. Thanks so much for watching, guys. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope to see you in the next one. Bye.